The problem was the fire. It was the speed of the hand. I used to react. Capital R imported from a library I didn't write. Mounted on a DOM I didn't build. Rendering states I didn't choose. Component life cycle. Born, mounted, updated, destroyed. No phase for understood, no hook for wait. Use effect runs after the render. After the damage renders first. The understanding comes too late to change what's already on screen. Somebody wrote a framework where the side effects come after the paint, and we said yes, this is how to build things. And then we wondered why everything feels reactive and nothing feels considered. There's a space before the word, where the meaning hasn't hardened yet, where the thought is still wet clay and you can shape it or let it shape you. Present tense, past tense. The problem is we skipped a tense, the one between receiving and responding, the one with no name, because naming it would slow it down and we worship speed. React.create element, react.render, react to the market, react to the comment, react to the tone, react to the emoji that replaced the tone, that replaced the face, that replaced the presence, that replaced the pause. That was the whole point. 14 layers of abstraction between I feel something and I said something. The stack trace of a human emotion looks like a production error because it is one word between meaning. That's the gap where truth falls through. The word fine holds a canyon, the word sorry holds a cage, the word love holds everything and precisely nothing, depending on which render cycle you catch it in. Here's what I learned from debugging myself. The bug was never in the logic, the bug was in the timing. I was server-side rendering my responses before the data finished loading, sending 200 OK on requests I hadn't processed, returning cached answers to questions that were new. Every argument I regret was a component that mounted before its props arrived. There's a space before the word. I took a breath, a version that was never pushed. The branch you could have checked out before you merged to main. Meaning between thoughts, that's where the actual self lives. Not in the react tree, not in the render, in the space the framework skipped because it wasn't performant to pause. So I deprecated my own reactivity, uninstalled the lifecycle hooks that fired before comprehension, wrote a custom middleware between stimulus and response call. But actually think about it, it's not fast, it doesn't scale, it has terrible latency, and the benchmark nerds hate it. But the output is correct, and correct, it turns out, is more important than first. Pleasant problems made past, not by speed, but by the silence before the solution. Not by reacting, but by the breath before the word, where you hold the thought and ask it what it actually means before you render it to someone who can't command Z what they just heard. The framework was never the problem. The framework was the symptom. We built tools that match our impatience and called it progress. But the space before the word, that unprofitable, unoptimized, unmonetizable pause, that's where every good thing I ever said came from. The space before the word. 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 That's the whole song, that's the whole lesson.